my clock says noon, so I'm gonna go ahead and get started. And Doug, I'm gonna pick on you since I don't get to see you very often anymore. Can you lead us in the pledge? Gotta get off mute.
Yeah, do I stand up?
Sure.
All right, here, we'll do it this way. Oh, whoa, look at that.
I'll stand with you.
All right. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God,
indivisible,
with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much.
Go Cubs, go Tigers, go Boomers, go Irish.
Yeah.
Stay home.
Doug, what about the Beavs?
Oh, God, Beavers, Ducks, and the Fighting Missionaries.
I need to go to
Oh,
school.
excuse me, we're now the Whitman College Blues. Matt Spangler, he'll be able to identify.
So, Doug, do you also have a Rotary moment? Because you seem very chipper today, so I might just stay with you all meeting.
You know, Julie, if you're trying to encourage me to participate in more meetings, and I'm sorry, I honestly have to take this phone call. I'll be back.
Oh, look at Lola. Can everyone see Lola's baby? That's a Rotary moment right there.
Oh,
So Lola, do you want to talk? That's very cute. Do you want to talk to us for a moment about your newest edition and how you're doing? Can she hear me? Did she leave the room and leave? Oh, well, maybe we will come back to Lola. So does anyone else have a Rotary moment they would like to share? Anyone participate in our peaceful demonstration yesterday?
Besides you?
Yeah, no.
You know, there were some rough moments during that.
Was there?
It seemed like it was a very, very young group. And at times I don't know whether the cars got carried away or the demonstrators got carried away, but it got a little bit out of hand. We needed Mark back.
Yeah.
I think Amy and the girls were there.
yeah, they were. There was a rumor that they were bussing in some pretty big protesters from Eugene and some Portland cities. So I was busy watching my stores.
Yeah, and that is true, Kathy. My husband got a call last night from someone that said that they wanted to be sure that he called me and told me not to work late by myself, because I do that quite often, because there was a group of Antifa protesters coming down.
Mm-hmm.
And I just started laughing. This is like 6 o'clock. He called and said, you need to come home because the person's worried about you working late. Said, I can appreciate that. And so I left, and I always drive kind of the back way through Nye Beach. And I saw a group of probably 20 young men. And it's funny, living here, you can tell who's not from here. I don't mean that to sound prejudiced or anything, but and they were walking towards JC Market, and I thought, maybe there's some truth to that. But then I got up this morning and nothing had happened. And then this morning at the bank, we've been watching all day long on the sidewalk. One by one, these young men walk by, and we have a UPS box by the front 101 side door. And they stop and look at it and walk on, and they keep making the rounds like that. So I don't know what's going on with that, but I have security watching them on camera, it's just odd times. So
It's very true.
Think that way, but I don't know. But I'm sorry to hear there was some bad stuff yesterday, because I was working. So I had thought it was all peaceful and went well. So anyway, off track there. Freddie, do you have a Rotary moment? Because pretty soon you're going to be up here asking others if they have Rotary moments.
Well, if I can figure out how to unmute, which I think I've got here. I guess my Rotary moment would be just that I'm really grateful for all the support from the club. I lost my dad last week, and the support really helped, and that really, you know, just being part of Rotary and the positive energy really made a big difference for me. So thanks for that.
Oh, thank you. That is one thing about our group I've always admired. We do support each other. Wonderful. So it looks like we have Corinne on for is this your first meeting?
Well, I was one for the guest, but this is my first official meeting, I guess, now that we're members.
So,
Awesome.
and Nathan is not with you, just you today, or?
Yeah, we're gonna trade off because we still got a little guy who's not in daycare, so we trade.
Okay, so for the whole group, Corinne and Nathan were just voted in Tuesday at the board meeting as our newest members. They represent their corporate membership with Salvation Army. So did you want to say anything to us to tell us about yourself or what you do or your 2-minute,
Yeah.
1-minute?
Well, my husband and I have been here now going on 5 years. This is our first appointment with the Salvation Army.
Oh.
And we have a little guy, his name is Ezra, and he's a year old.
Okay.
And it's been fun having him grow up here in this beautiful area. And we and the Salvation Army, I just got off the phone actually with my husband that everything has gone through with our food pantry of hope, and we are going to be distributing food starting on Wednesday.
Oh, wonderful.
Great.
Yeah, so in the last month and a half, we've been trying to get everything together for food share, and everything is going really well, and we're just excited we're finally at that place to be opening the doors to people who are in need. So we have about 100 boxes a week.
Wow. Wow. Well, thank you and welcome to Rotary. We're happy to have you. So, is everyone clapping? Yeah. So, couple of announcements. So for the banquet, it will be 5:30 p.m. June 25th. And the board who is comfortable enough to join in person will be at the Cove Room at Best Western, and then John Zagel's gonna work his magic to zoom the rest of it out, you know, to zoom it out to the rest of you. So if you could all join us at 5:30, June 25th. Freddie, do you want to say anything more about that, or John, any housekeeping on? You're just going to send a link out, or?
Yeah, I meet with them next Wednesday to set up the technology piece, and then we'll send the link out like we do for these meetings.
Okay. Okay, and we anticipate it's going to be longer than an hour because we, you know, it's a changing of the guard, recognition of the current board. I think we're going to try to do some fun things. Not sure how that will work on Zoom, but we will try. So Bob, got any happy bucks?
Well, no, Freddie, I hadn't heard about your loss, and my heart's with you and your mother and your family. Sorry about that. There was one thing though, Julie, where'd you say those thugs were from, the professional thugs that partook in the demonstration? Tell me one more time.
I don't know where they were from, and I'm not saying they were thugs. They could have been totally fine. But what the person that called my husband said they were Antiva members. So, but I don't know where they were from, and I don't think they were thugs because nothing happened overnight.
Well, if you need a place to hide all the money in the bank, let me know.
Yeah.
I can provide that.
Okay.
Is the young Mr. Wienert on here?
He is.
I don't know why I can't see him.
Is
There he is.
I heard you went on a run of some sort. Tell us a little about it.
Yeah, so the Booster Marathon was canceled this year, but I was in good health and wanted to do it anyway, so went ahead and didn't let the course go empty this year. Started at the usual time, ran the usual course. Good times. Yeah.
And you came in first, from what I hear.
Speaking of time,
Yeah,
what was the
Came
time?
in first. 3 hours and 15 minutes.
And so you came in first. Was that first overall or first in your own class?
Well, you could say first and last, because I was the only one out there. Pretty low turnout this year.
Oh, so you came in first, which would have been $100, but you also came in last, minus $50. We're talking right around $50.
I'll do $100, just because I'm generous.
That's what we like to hear. Are there any other happy dollars out there?
So
Don't
I'll
everybody
just-
raise their hand at one. Oh, Keith, there you go.
Yeah, seeing as we're not keeping track, I got a big birthday last week, and I'll contribute $69 to my Paul Harris.
Well, happy birthday, Keith. What did you do?
Thank you.
Anything special?
I got a day older. That was
Well, that-
pretty much in quarantine. That's pretty much what you can do, I guess.
Yeah, that is special, isn't it? Doug, I thought I saw your hand go up.
Yeah, I have a father-in-law that'll be 95 on Monday, so I'll contribute $95 to Polio Plus.
Wow, it sounds like things are going good in his family. Looks like maybe you'll, little lady will outlive you.
Yeah, well, my mother's 97, so both sides of the family. But her birthday's not until September, so don't get any ideas, Bob.
Well, happy birthday. Anybody else? John, you look awfully serious. John Zagel.
Oh, I'm $50 happy. I'm headed to Sun River tomorrow for the first time in months, so I'm happy about that.
Oh, well, lucky you. Anything special or just a family outing?
Just a family outing.
Well, drive careful. Anybody else?
I have a birthday coming up on Monday, so I'll be $61 happy.
Oh, come on, you can't be 61 years old.
I can be.
Hey, you look about 31, but
thank
happy birthday then.
All that clean living. Thanks.
Yeah.
Anybody else? Well, thank you very much for your willingness to give a little bit. And Julie, I'm turning it back over to you.
Thank you. So how come you don't talk to me the way you talk to Ursula?
No, I don't like saying this, but there's some people I like, and then,
Yeah.
well, let's leave it.
I think you should pay a fine for that, because that's not what you say to Kathy and I on our birthday month. But anyway.
Is it fair to all concerned?
Yeah, really. So,
Thank you, Sylvia.
Speaking of Sylvia, she is our program today, and I don't know how it came about or the topic, but it sounds very interesting. So I will turn it over to you now. You can give us some background.
Well, thanks. And I appreciate you asking if it was vocational, because I would love to go into detail how I came to work for a award-winning Fortune 500 company that's not for corporate profit, but anything a financial rep says to a large group has to be approved through compliance departments if it's professionally background. So my thought when I went to it was all the great clubs and activities in the county. And this was about 6 months ago, before COVID. And I was looking at drumming up some attendance and spreading some notice to some of the things I'm involved in. And things have changed a little bit. So this will be about fun things to do in the county. And hopefully this works as good as it did in practice, and you can see my screen now.
Yep, I can see it.
All right, a universe of activities to do, and if there's interest, I can send out a email or something, you know, have maybe John could post with some of the websites. But it's so easy to focus on the things that we can't do right now, and I'll touch on some of those, but mostly it's about things we can do right now. So like many, I am still working and working pretty hard about it. So it's a matter of taking a break. You know, you might look calm and cool and collected on the surface, but underneath we're still paddling like the Dickens. And at the end of the day, just too many responsibilities. We need a break. The other alternative, of course, for people who aren't working, or perhaps you have children, you see this. And what do? Same old thing, stuck in a rut. I'm bored. I want to get out. Well, looking at COVID, there were things that we did that were large group activities. Traditional hobby clubs. If you look at a list in Lincoln County, there's things you know about, and there's things like an orchid society and a Renaissance instrument club that plays gems horns and all sorts of fun things. And it's a great list. A lot of those have gone on to online classes. I was told the Master Gardeners had over 400 people in one of their presentations. No way would they normally get that in an in-person meeting. Of course, there's the concerts, the chorales, the barbershops, Sweet Adelines, and of course the things we would see at the PAC and the plays. But we can take a look at the smaller activities that are going on and active. Our own hobbies, perhaps something modified. And we don't just want to look at what we can do inside. There's also outside. It's summer. I'm not sure what happened to spring, but hey, it's gorgeous out there. And so what next? Little update on some of the wait till later things. I could not find any sort of a timeline for the rec center to open. The aquarium's website says they're looking at very soon. I'm sure they'll have little traffic areas and spacing. The Performing Arts Center sadly is very shut down. We're so fortunate to have them. That's not really true. It wasn't fortunate. It was a whole lot of people putting in some work, and some people putting in a whole lot of work to bring the PAC to fruition. But we do have the great plays from Red Octopus and Porthole, the Symphony Orchestra, Youth Symphony, dance recitals, might be in smaller venues. I love the Met Opera broadcasts. A lot of people don't know about those. Those happen in the winter, as well as National Theater Live broadcasts. And perhaps those could be adapted to at-home streaming. Exploring arts and visiting performers. But the PAC has left the building. There are things that you can do this coming weekend. There is a drive-in style movie at the Performing Arts Center. You'll notice I say in short cars. That is because if you have a tall vehicle, they will park you in the back so people, can see. Obviously, they can't put you in the front. No one can see over you. And there is limited parking for the larger vehicles. So bring your low-profile car if you can. They're doing the Raiders of Lost Ark and Goonies. I noticed they updated this to actually go through the whole month of June. So good for them. Calendars currently list things starting up in October. Of course, it'll be a balance between capacity and ticket sales. The Visual Arts Center has really improvised quickly. They did a banner and mosaics class for that preteen group. Parents picked up their supplies, they did them at home, and then they turned them back in, which was a great idea. The art show that they had locked up inside the Visual Arts Center went online. That still might be on. And just starting this last weekend, I'm pretty excited about this, is actually a huge gallery exhibit of 150 artists that were asked to actually post photos if people have displayed at the PAC, the VAC, if they're friends of the VAC. They have been invited to contribute. And so far, yes, 150 people. So You could turn your big screen TV into your own private museum and watch that. Oh, our 4th of July concert. One of the best gifts that anybody could give the community is unfortunately canceled for obvious reasons. I was talking to one of the directors' boards. He was looking at perhaps an online composite 4th that you, your family, and your neighbors, perhaps at your backyard barbecue, could listen to. As I was lamenting it though and thinking, oh, we could socially distance. We could watch fireworks in our cars. Matthew 6:13, for those who know your Bible, is, lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. So I think that might fit, you know, what we could do and what people would end up doing. They know truthfully it would be a big tourist draw and people would be tempted to not socially distance. So I did find it interesting. The Eugene Symphony is streaming the Four Seasons. Their scheduled concert went online. You can sign up to get it for free. And that might be something that the Newport Symphony does later. What they are doing right now, individual symphony performers have posted little recitals of their own. You can see that on their website. And in the future, you could be looking for smaller groups, quartets, solos being in people's homes. There was actually some of this pre-COVID. You can look for more. Of course, all of the artists, whether they are in plays or musicians, they love to do what they can, but they do appreciate any financial support. So if you can continue to give, please do so. We do want to stay dancing. I'm willing to bet that the Coastal Stars is canceled, but there's no reason you can't do videos like TikTok at home in person and maybe even make a competition out of it. You know, challenge your neighbors, your friends, do the family that's in Minnesota or Florida. And I would recommend you have outside judges and establish some rules. You know, what are we wearing? How long is it? Maybe you pick a particular dance type. This is Foursquare dancing or something like that. And then salsa next week. It could be fun. Museums, rarely crowded, unfortunately currently closed. They did not have a phase 2 opening yet. The board of directors for the Oregon Coast Lincoln County Historical Society will be meeting to decide how to do it. Burroughs House obviously has more capacity than the Little Log Church, and then the Maritime Museum, even more flow, but a lot more exposure on the bayfront, which is a tourist draw no matter what we do. I'd like to think people are staying home. License plates around me yesterday were from all over the country. Same for the interpretive centers, Oregon State Parks website. You want to keep posted on those. What is open are our trails now. State parks have opened their trails. Cape Perpetua area, the only one that's closed is an upper loop due to bridge damage. Do keep in mind though that these are narrow trails and you might want to have a mask in your pocket if you're passing somebody, if you're worried about it, it's a good idea. And you know, if you're going to stop to chat for an outside group. One thing I've noticed though, part of the Rotary philosophy of friendliness, having a mask does not make people invisible. Please say hello to folks. You know, they can tell you're smiling even if it's under a mask. So you do want to acknowledge people's existence, even though we're not supposed to stop and talk. And you can always talk from a healthy distance. Other walks, I used to lead some of these. Estuary walks, there's one that starts at the north parking lot of the Marine Science Center, goes about 1.1 miles around, finishes at the back of the Oregon Coast Aquarium. This is a nice boardwalk. It's an excellent birding place. What's really cool is you make a habit of going. You can see it change through the seasons. Again, narrow pathways. And when was the last time you just went down to the docks, checked out the boats, who's shrimping, who's crabbing? Again, you know, not enough room to really pass someone unless you can walk on water, but pretty cool still to go check it out. And not a lot of traffic. I'd say keep a mask in your pocket if you're not actually wearing them. You can go bird watching. 324 species. That's over a long term. That's not necessarily common. There is a Yaquina Bay Birders and Naturalists group. They normally meet at the extension office on the third Thursday of the month. Those are suspended until further notice, but that doesn't keep you from grabbing your binoculars and going out. The Birders and Naturalists publish this sandpiper, and usually it has sightings for the area. Unfortunately, well, fortunately, this last month it was a tribute to Betty Bond, who died last month and has been a phenomenal resource to people in the area. She was, as her second career, a botanist, as a first a nurse, so there's a tribute there for her. There is the Oregon Coast Birding Trail Guide. That is also available online. It covers the entire coast. A lot of emphasis to Lincoln County because we are blessed. We've got marshes, we've got ocean, we've got some prairie and savanna stuff. You wouldn't be finding that if you went birding in South Dakota. Geocaching. This is basically a hike with a purpose in a lot of cases, a little hide and seek for grown-ups, great for the family or for a few friends. If you go, please make sure in the rural areas, people know where you're going. Some of these are out in the national forests. Do not count on cell phone reception. There was a time before cell phones, though, when you had to pay for a little GPS handheld thing, somewhat like a walkie-talkie, and that gave you lats and longs. Now you can get that as a program on your phone. If you can see a satellite, you can usually keep track of where you're at. Two different kinds of geocaching projects. One gives you just lats and longs where you find one spot. And the other one, the really fun one, is where you find one spot and it will give you a clue to the next one, and then the next one, and the next one. And at the end of these, there's usually some sort of a little journal to write down your name or information when you found it. Really cool to see who's been there before. And that's also a lot of people post on the geocaching sites. And oftentimes there's a little trinket or two. So I would really encourage you to maybe hit the dollar store or take some Chatskis that you would be willing to leave. I stumbled across one of these once at a mushroom hike with the Lincoln County Mycological Society. And I had to give up my pocket knife that I was cutting mushrooms with because I wanted to take something out of the geocache site. So fun little activity for one, for several. Again, don't go alone without someone knowing. Or you could go bear hunting. Oh my. As people are getting out, these are probably not quite as popular, but there is a bear hunt website. Some parents with bored children thought this up. People would put bears in their windows. You might have seen some. And the website lists where some of them are. So they walk their kids around and they try and have them spot the bears. Cute little activity. There's bear hunting songs. I have one in my window. He's actually a wild bear. He's not on the site, so that's a little free points for a kid. You can go down and hunt agates or fossils. The Oregon Coast Agate Club has been around since 1939. That is 81 years. This is the group that sponsors the Gem and Mineral Show, usually on Memorial Day weekend. Of course, this year it was canceled, but you can still go out on your own. State parks do have rules. They are currently limiting people to a gallon of agates or fossils, and that actually is an improvement. There was a no-take rule for a long time. The Oregon Coast Agate Club worked to come up with something that was fairly reasonable because wind, waves, water would often cover these things up or no one would ever see them. So it isn't like leaving it for posterity. Under no circumstances is it ever legal to sell a fossil that's collected on Oregon beaches, or for that matter, unless it's on private property in the state of Oregon. Public fossils, you can possess them, but they're considered to be property of the state. Or you can go hunting in the sky for more knowledge. There is this wonderful app here called Skyview. And it will basically turn your phone into an observatory. You let it calibrate where you're at, and then when you hold it up to the sky, it will basically give you this kind of outline. And if you put the center dot over, say, the nose of Pegasus, it would tell you what star that is, how far away. It's also loaded with satellite information and the space station, and north, south, east, west. And what's doubly cool is it even works in the broad daylight. And if you point it at the floor, you could pretty much see what constellations they're looking at in China right now, because it's based on your location and lats and longs. It's not really based on having clouds. So if you've always wondered, hey, what's that bright thing? Is it a star? Is it a planet? Skyview will tell you that. And after you've done that, you can go crabbing in the daylight or fishing. This is a bit of a cheat slide, but I don't have anything good like this out of Lincoln County. This is out of Garibaldi, me with a copper and a black rockfish. Those are both over 6 pounds each. I did call Tradewinds charters. They have resumed operations, but not like normal. They're limiting charter trips to 12 people or less. They're asking folks to wear a mask. They are staggering departures and returns so that no one boat will meet another. So if you're looking at a birthday celebration activity, or some sort of event to mark, or just to get together with friends, family that you want to be with, this is an excellent thought to go with that. Or you could always go out on the docks. Again, narrow passageways. This one's more than 6 feet wide, but be aware. And you never know what you get. This is, of course, the dock by Rogales in South Beach looking north. Here's the fish plant, and there's the Coast Guard station. When I was looking for pictures, I came across this. That's optimistic. I think it might be as much a photo about selling that fishing pole crab trap than the actual results you will get. So actual results may vary. Or you can go kayaking on our rivers. Of course, State Parks isn't running the classes, but there's a lot of great places you can still put in. Ona Beach, Brian Booth, I guess they call it now, State Park. The east side, there's an easy kayak entry. The Hatfield Marine Science Center parking lot has an easy entry. Wear a life vest, of course. Preferably don't go alone. And you can actually get some super cheap, definitely adequate kayaks now at even Walmart. $300 will float your boat. And I have friends who are real kayak snobs, and when I told them that, they went and bought one for each of the family, because they're okay leaving those 3 on top of the car. The total investment was less than one of their fancy kayaks. Or you can catch a sunset. And that was actually a famous sunset we had a few years back from the Don Davis Park, but we were still blessed with a beautiful view. So, any questions on those? That's all I have.
Any questions for Sylvia? How do I get back to my screen? There we go.
I stopped sharing and it's all you, girl.
Okay.
I don't have a question, Sylvia, but thanks for doing that. I didn't know about that sky view, and I'm often, we're often looking at things in the sky and wondering what they are. So that's a great tip. Appreciate it.
It's a free app. There's ads. If you don't want the ads, you can pay the extra $1 a month or something, but it is awesome. I got all the fishing boats on it 4 or 5 years ago, and I think it's the best app around, quite honestly.
Sylvia?
Yes, sir.
So, on Betty Bond, what was that magazine or?
Oh, that is the Yaquina Bay Birders and Naturalists Sandpiper.
The Sandpiper?
The Sandpiper. Yeah, and I actually have that on my desktop. I can email that to you if you like.
Can you email that to me?
Yeah.
And you want my email right now so everybody else can
yeah, you can send a private message if you want to, but it's on the Rotary app, so I'll pull it off there.
You've lost me. You lost me at sending something.
Oh, I said your email is on the Rotary app, so I can send it to you from there if you've got your information.
Is it on there, John?
It is.
Sylvia, what
Thank
you don't know is Jim Wendell has a flip phone. He doesn't know how to do what you're talking about.
Okay,
Thank you, Sylvia. I
I'll get it to
appreciate
you.
it.
You bet.
Appreciate it. Bye.
Yeah, if people are interested, maybe John could just post it. I already emailed it to him. So Betty was phenomenal. She was in all the natural groups, and her memory as a botanist was amazing. She was actually a nurse for 35 years before then, most of it outside this area, but she will be so missed.
Her daughter-in-law was also works for the Milwaukee Bucks basketball team. So, and her son was a hockey expert.
Well, make sure you get it.
Thanks.
But thank you, Sylvia. That was a good reminder that there's still fun stuff out there to do. So Catherine, did you want to say anything about the drive-in movies at all? That's an interesting thing.
Well, you know, I think Sylvia, thank you for asking. Sylvia has covered a lot of that, where we're starting Friday. And cars will be into the PAC parking lot at 8:30, and the movie probably starting about 9. And yes, big vans and so on will be parked more to the east where the hedge is, so shorter, smaller cars in front. We have a screen already set up. The PAC operations person, Randy Storms, created the frame, and we have the screen over there. And then our PAC custodian, Stefan, has put a wonderful Art Deco sign that he has painted, designed and painted up on top of the screen. It says PAC Picture Show. So Raiders of the Lost Ark this weekend on Friday, and then Saturday is the Goonies. Just go on to our website, coastarts.org, and you can see the other showings throughout the month. So it's really a way of you know, getting together, coming back to the Performing Arts Center a little bit, because as was mentioned, it's still going to be closed for quite a while. OCCA is restricted by the licenses to ever say a drive-in. So that's why if you folks have not seen something in the newspaper or radio or whatever, it's because of license restrictions, but we advertise by Facebook. So please go on the website, put in your reservation, and we'll see you at the PAC Picture Show.
Thank
you.
Okay, so is Jim Graham on, or Mark, are you doing duty?
I've got it. Jim is on the phone, but he can't see anybody, so I get to do it today.
Okay,
So what would you like?
so makeups, attendance.
Okay, attendance is, we have 33 members in attendance today, which is roughly 46%. The member incentive today would have gone to Richard O'Hearn if he was here, but it'll go to $10 next week. John, media incentive?
Yeah, this week's winner is Mark Hanrahan. Sorry, Julie, you can't get it. Is he on?
He's not here.
Of course. And then just next week, we're going to have Mayor Dean Sawyer on. He will be our program next week, just to let people know.
Okay, and then the 50-50 drawing goes to Keith Nelson, and it's for $25.
Wow, happy birthday.
Woohoo, Keith, cash it in big.
Yeah. So
I'd give it to Noemi, but we're not doing that. So I guess I'll keep it. I don't know.
yeah. Noemi will be at hopefully at our the June 25th banquet with us in the Cove Room. So you will get to see her more, I think, for her last time that night. So, Any last minute announcements? I'm looking, I see lots of officials on there like Dietmar, Doug. Do you want to say anything about anything that's going on?
Julie, I know I was muted earlier when I was trying to give the big update.
You were.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, congratulations.
Everyone, oh.
Just for the record, he's now 23 inches long and over 10 pounds. So I've got a nice workout every day, toting him around. But we're both doing very well, and he's a good eater and a good sleeper.
That's wonderful. So he's sleeping through the night?
He sleeps about 5 hours initially, and then another 2 or 3 after that. So just about all a girl could ask for.
Yeah.
And he's the spitting image of Grant Jones, just no mustache.
How old is he now?
6 weeks, 2 days.
Well, congratulations. We're happy you're doing well. It's funny, everyone was asking about you, and then we saw on Facebook that night that you just had him. So yeah, we have to see him in the, didn't you get a Rotary Wednesday?
Yes, I was gonna try and put him in it this morning, but he's still just a little bit small for it. So soon to come, photos of the Rotary swag.
Yeah, okay, great.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Lola. Congratulations to you and your family. It's wonderful. Any other announcements?
Hey, Julie.
Yes.
I just wanted to announce that, the city council authorized the $1 million to transfer from urban renewal to general fund so that we can have a business incentive grant program for the businesses in our community who are suffering. And that we have so far, I think, gotten about 180 applications in for that program. and the award and the grants are from, anyway, I think are up to about $10,000 at the most. And the county, the city, school district, and all the other taxing industries, port and hospital formed a committee, and we'll be meeting on the 10th of June, that's next Wednesday, to start reviewing those, and hopefully we'll start processing some of those dollars out to the community to help ease some of the burden that coronavirus has caused over the last couple of months. So
thank you.
That should be a good thing for the community.
Yeah. When's the deadline to apply? Is it already over?
Yeah, I think it's over. It was on the 29th, I think, was the deadline.
Thank you, Dietmar. Yeah, that should help. So, Doug, do you have anything new to report on the county?
Well, the county, I guess there are 3 priorities. Number 1, opening under phase 2, and the Board of Commissioners will be meeting soon to decide what steps, if any, to take in that direction. We're also working on the use of face masks. That'll be a discussion, I believe, at the Monday Board of Commissioner meetings. And we also are working on a variety of programs to make funds available to businesses to try and help offset the challenges of the virus. And I guess the unfortunate news is that it took about 4 days to double the number of cases in the county that took 3 months over the first 3 months. So right now we are seeing a dramatic increase in cases, and I haven't seen the numbers for today yet, but I believe in the last 3 days we had 10 or 12 cases. And we have a couple of outbreaks, so lots of challenges as far as the cases. But at this point, public health is able to do the contact tracing, which is one of the critical elements as far as moving forward. So I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Does anyone have questions for Doug?
Yeah, I do have a question. Doug, are those people all from Lincoln County, or is it people coming in from other places that have gone against us? How did you come up with those cases?
The information isn't, well, can't be determined really, but right now about half of our cases can be traced to another case. But the other half are called community acquired, meaning there's no ability to determine how that person came down with the virus. And the other thing is about, I don't know, I think it's 44% or roughly half of the people don't realize they have the virus until they develop the symptoms and then test positive. But we're not able to identify really whether the person has contacted the virus from outside the county or inside the county. If they don't live in a county, it doesn't count for a case against our county.
Thank you. Any other questions for Doug? Ursula, you've done a great job.
Yeah, Doug, I've got a question.
Okay.
Sure. Are those voluntary tests, or how are you finding these? Are the cases trending with the number of tests available?
Well, it's really hard to determine. We're doing more testing, but there's also more social interaction, which I think accounts for being able to identify about half of the cases as to the fact that the person was in contact with somebody that was known to be infected, and the other half are community acquired. And I'm sorry, what was the first question? First part of the question?
Are those voluntary tests, or how are you determining who gets tested?
It is still necessary to get a referral from your primary care physician to get a test, but in most instances, if the person has symptoms or has been in contact with somebody that's known to have the virus, the referral will be provided readily. Testing is really being done through the Samaritan Health Centers in Depot Bay and Walport, although the county is trying to get testing operations up and running probably next week. And testing is voluntary. Nobody can be made to take the test.
Thank
you. I have a comment on that too. If you're interested in finding out what's in the city or the county, you can Google Oregon coronavirus infection by zip code, and you can find a zip code. And in Newport right now, they don't record anything that's less than 10. So Newport right now is less than 10. So if you're interested in the majority of the cases are in the valley, of course, around Salem, Portland, Multnomah County in Oregon. But it's an interesting map they have of how you can Google that, and you can see exactly where all the cases are in Oregon.
The good news is Lincoln County doesn't yet have enough to make the zoning, to report the zoning. It's simply by county.
I just want to add that other people are being tested is anybody who's scheduled for surgery.
Good point.
Sort of an elective procedure has a test before they get that procedure.
Yeah, thank you, Ursula. Good clarification.
And speaking of Ursula, I started to say you've done a really good job of keeping us updated all along about the hospital and the goings on. And do you have anything new at this time to add, or no?
The visitor policy has changed slightly. And so people who, it was that if you were in the hospital for any reason in an inpatient room, you couldn't have any visitors unless you were a child or at end of life, then you could have one visitor with you. Now you can have a visitor with you unless you are there for a COVID, rule out. But we are now allowing one visitor to be with all patients in the hospital. It has to be the same person each day.
Okay. Thank you. Well, that's good. Freddie, do you recall anything at the board meeting that we need to share that we haven't shared already? I know the banquet, but or
Yeah,
any
I think
board
the
meeting? Go ahead.
banquet was most of it. I can't really think of too much else right now.
Okay. Yeah, I think that was it. Okay, we're ending early. These Zoom ones go quicker. So unless anyone has any other announcements or something they would like to share, I will let you off. Next week, Dean Sawyer. Is Dean going to talk about, do we know what it, just the city? Is that what he's talking about, John?
Yeah, he's just going to give an update of where the city is, and I'm sure it's going to be all about COVID.
Yeah. And then on the 18th, Doretta and Freddie are going to do an update on the real estate market, which should be kind of interesting. And then we have our banquet. And then after that, oh, I will say about the survey. Did everyone receive the survey that Jim sent out? That what came out of the board meeting is to survey the membership on if and when we go to phase 2. What are your thoughts on meeting in person or continuing with Zoom? We just kind of wanted to get a comfort level of everyone. So please fill out your survey. It's completely anonymous. Anything else on the survey?
Since we're now members, can you send it to us?
Yes, would you, it should have went to the email provided when you information form, when you filled out your information. So
I'll send it to them.
okay. Did everybody get the survey? Was there anyone that didn't get the survey? Okay, so that's what that's about, because if people, we need to figure that out, because we have a contract with the Best Western that may need to be amended if we're not able to meet in person there, you know, for some length of time. So anyway, so that's about all I have. With that, Freddie, can you lead us in the 4-way test?
Yeah, I think I have my prop handy here. There we go. I don't know if it shows, but first,
is it the
truth?
Truth.
Second,
is it fair to all concerned?
Third,
will
it build goodwill
and better
friendships?
And fourth,
will it be beneficial
to all concerned?
And 5, is it
fun?
Oh, is it fun? I said it's the truth. Good thing they can't hear me.
Yes, we can hear you.
We can. I said.
I have trouble with the truth, I think.
Thank you, everyone, for joining. Hang in there. You know, I appreciate everyone staying involved. So hopefully we'll get through this. Have a great weekend.